Today I'm going to show you how to install this small device. Now what this device is going to help you do is help you get rid of that range anxiety that you get with owning an electric motorcycle. Now on this one is the 2024 Venom Motorsports e-vader. It is completely electric, and the only problem is with this bike, it doesn't show you how much range you have. It doesn't really show you much of anything on the gauge cluster. So let me actually show you on the gauge cluster or what it does show you. Alrighty guys, I had to go mobile on this one and had to pretty much turn off every single light I have in the garage. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the gauge cluster. There's the voltage right there, 74 volts. And this mileage reading is incorrect, as all the calibration on this bike is completely off. There'll be a future video on how to calibrate everything, but that trip mileage is inaccurate. Anyhow, I would wish that on this particular e-vader bike, or any e-vader bike, if it has this particular gauge cluster, that on this side will show you on how much battery voltage you have left on the bike. On this side is actually showing when you're on the bike and riding on how much power you're using as you ride. Obviously not that much power is being used, it's all in the top. As you increase your throttle and go faster, and depending on how much throttle you're using, if you're using a fistful of throttle, this bar is going to go all the way down to over here. As you use less throttle, it'll go to the top. So that's what this side does. As you can see, here is a trip. This is a trip reading, not the odometer. The odometer part you'll see at the beginning. But we're gonna right now take apart the front end of it, and what we need to do is we need to tap into power that's giving power to the gauge cluster, because obviously the gauge cluster is always on when you turn on the key. So let's go ahead and get everything set up. Now the location of where I want to install this, ideal spot for this would be right here in the middle. Just having it down just a little bit and probably putting a little bit of some adhesive over here. And I would say this would be the ideal location to have something like that, because whenever you need to, you could just go ahead and push the button to show a battery percentage and voltage of the bike. And it'll also have a little meter here to show you how much battery is left. In another installation, I'm going to be using that area. And if it wasn't for that, I'll definitely install it here. But because of that, I will not be able to install it there. So for me, another location that'll be good to install it will be pretty much right over here, right by the key, and I would say right about there. It's a nice little area. It's kind of inside a little bit, not protruding out anywhere, and if I ever need to, I could just push the button there to get the stats of the readings. So that's where I'll be installing it today. Alright, first thing is you're going to need a towel. Reason for the towel is because we need to put it right over here in between on top of the fairing, because that's where the headlight's going to rest, and you definitely don't want to scratch the front lens of the headlight. Next, we're going to be using a 10mm socket to remove 4 bolts. The top ones are going to be shorter, the bottom ones are going to be longer. So there's going to be one here on both sides and one down here on both sides. Let's go ahead and remove all those screws and lay down carefully the headlight. That's going to expose all the wires back there that we need to kind of address, that we need to get to. Alrighty guys, I know it looks like a big wiring mess over here, but it's really not that bad once I show you what you need to tap into. So we're going to be using what's called Posi Taps. Now this is going to be a lot easier way, instead of kind of cutting, splicing, because we definitely don't want to be cutting these kind of wires, but we are wanting to tap into it. So what we need to tap into is going to be, here is the gauge cluster. Now the gauge cluster only needs 12 volts to operate, but it also has a wire that will indicate how much voltage is coming from the battery, and that's definitely what we want. We want to know how much voltage is left on the battery, and also the percentage and everything. That's what this little indicator is going to do. So if you notice, here is the gauge cluster connector, and we're going to tap into, well, you guessed it, the positive and negative. That's going to give us the readings that we're going to need. We're going to go ahead and install these on our little meter right here. Go ahead and do that right now. What we're going to do is we're just going to unscrew the red part. Once we unscrew the red part, we are going to put it and slide it over one of the cables. Right now it really doesn't really matter which cable you're going to slide it to, because they're both red. So once you slide it in, this is pretty much on how much exposed wires. You don't have to have that much exposed, as they already come exposed anyway. So go ahead and then just screw this in. Once you screw it in really tightly, just give it a small little tug, make sure that it doesn't come out. If it does come out, just go ahead and re-slide it in and screw it back in, and make sure that you have a nice little tight connection. Same thing with this one. We're just going to go ahead and unscrew it. Again, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, because they're both red. If you happen to have the luxury of buying ones that are red and black, then that's great. But for me, I don't have that, so I just have them all in red color. All right, go nice and tight, give it a little tug. It is secure on there, great. All right, so next, what we're gonna do is we are going to make sure that we have enough cable. Obviously, it's a very short cable length, but again, we're not gonna be going too far of a distance on where we're going to install it. Now, you can see, this is pretty much the location of where I'm gonna be installing it, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it on there right now, just to really make sure that I have enough cable. You definitely don't want it to be stretched, you know, in any form when installing it. And it looks like we're pretty good. I was gonna install it down there. We may be able to still get away with that, actually. Yeah, we'll still be able to get away with it. If not, we could always install the cable, you know, the Posi Taps further up on the cable line. Alrighty guys, now that we have our Posi Taps on here, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna connect it to the corresponding cables that we need to tap into. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the negative. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna unscrew the gray part. And as you notice, there is going to be a slit in the gray part. Now that's going to allow for the cable to go through. So negative over here is going to be the green cable on the harness. So just going to go ahead and slide the green cable in that slit like this. Okay, once you do that, you could go ahead and just screw this part in. You want to make sure that you have a good even you know, positioning. If you notice that when you're screwing it in, it's kind of crooked, unscrew it and go back straight, because it won't really, you know, give you a secure connection if you have it all crooked. You don't want to go too crazy because you could snap the wire in half. You just want it to have it snug. All right, now that we have that part in, we're going to go ahead and grab our positive cable. Same thing. Just go ahead and unscrew the gray part. Set a slot there, and then we're going to look for the red cable. Now here is the red cable. I'm just going to go in through the behind area right here. And then we're going to screw this in, make sure it's nice and straight and snug. Alright, so now everything is pretty much snugged up. Now we're just going to go ahead and I'll turn on power so you could see the indicator on here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the key and we should have power going to the indicator. It's going to just cycle through its little thing here. And there we go. We have 74.6 volts on the capacity of the battery. And right now we're at 100%. And here is our little battery indicator. So as you ride, you're going to notice that, you know, obviously the percentage is going to go lower. And, you know, the voltage and everything. And here is that. So therefore, this will eliminate any range anxiety you have. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get some sticky tape on the back of our display. Get a little clean piece of paper and some isopropyl alcohol. Kind of wipe the area to get it clean of any dirt and debris. And then you also want to do the same of where you're going to be installing it. For me, obviously, I'm going to install it right up here by the triple tree or whatnot. I don't even know if it's even called that on this bike, but I'm going to kind of wipe the surface right by where the key ignition is and make sure that's clean and clear. Alright, so next I'm going to get some double-sided sticky tape and put it on the back of the display and then stick it right up there. Okay, now that I got everything already set and done, I already got it there, so we're going to go ahead and turn the key, which is going to turn on the gauge cluster. It's going to cycle through its thing there. And as you can see, now we have it 76, because I did throw it in the charger not too long ago because I really wanted a full charge. Now actually on a real full charge, you are going to get 84 volts. That's in a completely 100% fully charged battery. Now you see it's kind of cycling to 79.6 or so. It's because it is kind of cold here already in my state, Illinois. So of course, since removing it for the charge is gonna, you know, discharge just a little bit. As you could see, it did turn off. I do have a setting that it turns off after 30 seconds, but anytime I need to access it, just go ahead and push the button there and it'll turn on. Now I'm going to have a second video after this one showing you on how to set the parameters for this little voltmeter, so that way you guys could have the same. Like I said, when I'm riding, I don't need to have it constantly on, but if I did, I could set it to where it never turns off. But I have it set to a 30-second timer, so therefore that's why that turns off. Alright guys, well hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, please smash that like button. If you haven't yet subscribed, don't forget to subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell, that way you guys are up to date with my latest installations and videos. And if you know anyone else that has an e-vader, or an electric bike for that matter, that does not have any indication on the main gauge cluster for voltage or percentage, please share my video, as it could probably help them out. And maybe they don't even know about this little gadget that could do something like that for them. All right, you guys take care. Catch you guys on the next one.